Hello and welcome to the Ireland on the Fly podcast about the people and places of fly fishing in Ireland. This week we're finding out about a fly fishing club that bucks the trend and continues to grow its membership in the face of what we hear about declining interest in the sport. Kilbride Anglers Club, based in Wicklow, has long been an innovative and forward-thinking club since it was first founded in 1940, and its chairman Martin Kearney joins us on this week's episode to tell us how the club expanded beyond its Liffey waters to the Meath Blackwater, as well as having 14 boats around the lakes of Ireland. But it was a pollution incident on the Blackwater 20 years ago that forced the club into restoration and expanding beyond just its rivers. Before we hear from Martin though, Tom, I believe things are beginning to happen on the waters and the rivers around the country. It's finally starting to warm up.
Yeah, good man. Well, not at monumental pace now, all right.
No, it's not. Let's hold our horses. But
yeah, stall the ball there, walking. They say, go away. Things are beginning to change. We're noticing a slight rise in temperature, and that's crucial this time of year. I haven't actually got out yet. Missed the opening day. Didn't get out on the opening day, and since then, weather's been absolutely atrocious. I'm going to start guiding now soon enough. The end of next weekend coming. But that's it. Mike Shanks, we're chatting to him there. He had lovely fish during the week on wets. So that was nice to see. Water temperatures still, you're talking 5, 6, 7 degrees. I haven't taken it over the last couple of days, but it was down around 5 or 6 degrees. But I do notice that the air temperature is going up now. I see it's forecast for the weekend, might be getting up to 9, 10 degrees. And this time of year, that makes a huge difference. You really need that. To be honest with you, I don't think for decent wet fly fishing, you want the air temperature going into double figures and you need the water temperature rising. So look, fingers crossed. And Saturday, 1st of March sees most of the lakes open now. There's only a few that'll be left open, I think. A few anomalies there. Arrow is 1st of April. And I think Lough Ray is 17th of March. But I think virtually every other trout lake of note in Ireland is going to be open from this weekend. So, and as we're talking there to Martin says a few hardy souls will be out. And yeah, so you're going to see a lot more activity this week, and social media will start buzzing a bit more after the weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah, the lucky few will be posting the pictures of a gleaming set of pearly whites as they smile with their captures. So yeah, look, it's great. It's coming around, as I said, a bit of warmth coming in. Yeah,
spring is in the air, feels it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
spring is in the air.
That's it.
Although it's funny, I'm looking out at Galtee Moor and it's covered in snow. It's gas.
It is not, is it?
Yeah, from the week that we had, in terms of
right, and it's still snow capped.
Now, I'd say by the weekend it'll be gone, because the temperatures are dropping at night, but you can feel that warmth, and the rain is keeping away now, isn't it? So, would you say it's a good time if people are looking to get out? Maybe look next week or two.
I think
promising,
so. It's promising. The air temperature set to rise, going to bring a corresponding increase in water temperatures, and that's going to get fish moving. Fish will start to go on the feed again. So yeah. Mind you, you're asking somebody who is eternally hopeful for anything. Right? It's in my nature, you got to be. So yeah, I think you know the answer I'm going to give back.
Well, look, get out if you can, I suppose. What we're saying.
That's it.
There's a bit of warmth there now, so now's a good time to get out and make the most of it. So look, I suppose we'll hear from Martin now, and Martin Kearney from Kilbride Anglers, and it's a really interesting interview because I was struck by just the kind of innovation and forward thinking, and it's right through their history since they were founded. He tells us about where they were, or where they are in the upper Liffey. And then kind of how they were forced to then kind of look beyond for more waters, and then they went into the Kells Blackwater, and he'll tell us about the pollution incident and how that led them on to kind of getting boats around the country. And they're just, it's like any organization. You're going to have obstacles and you're going to have difficulties, but it never let them stop. And he makes the point, they're still growing, which is fantastic to hear.
Isn't that great, actually? Really good to hear that, yeah.
So it just shows you, with a bit of kind of, I suppose, if the right people there, a bit of persistence, bit of resilience, bit of forward thinking, there's hope and positivity around it, and it's great to see. So look, I think it's a great example, as Martin tells us about the club, gets into the history of it and kind of what they were able to do to overcome obstacles and continue to grow. So look, let's hear from Martin now, who tells us about the Kilbride Anglers Club.
Well, Kilbride Anglers started off up in Wicklow Mountains, from Sally's Gap. There was the River Liffey, where it's sourced, all the way down. It's now Poulafuka. But before it was a smashing river. And I believe the salmon used to run there before Poulafuca went in, and all these barriers went up. But we had that. We still have it from Sally's Gap all the way down to Poulafuca. Lovely, lovely mountain river. Small little trout, just absolutely beautiful place. And we still have that. And then in 1950, the Land Commission took over land down in County Meath, and they separated the water rights from the land, and they brought in a lot of people from the west of Ireland. There's lots of Joyces and Pines and all that down there. Yeah, and it's an Irish-speaking area along by the bank of the river. And 1950, we got a stretch from a place called Bloomsbury Bridge down to Liscark, about 6 miles, a river.
What river is that? Sorry.
Blackwater, Kells Blackwater.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Right.
That's funny, actually. I always wondered why there was a Gaeltacht in Meath. I never realised it was
that was it.
to hell or to Meath, like.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, there'll be a lot of interaction force, I'll say, as Gaeilge, but there'll be a lot of interaction between here. We have a bay on the lake here called Rourke's Bay. Yeah. And I remember asking the father, why is it called Rourke's? There's no Rourke's. Oh, they went to Meath.
That's right.
The whole family went to Meath. And as you say, a lot of Joyces, a lot of coins went up to,
That's fascinating. Can I ask then, how, because Kilbride to the Meath Gaeltacht there, like, what's the link, or what's...
Well, the thing is, no, it's just that it went up for it went up for lease.
Yeah. We took out right. Yeah.
We leased it from Inland Fisheries.
Wow. Right. Was that back in the 50s, Martin?
Back in the early 50s.
Right. Wow.
And what was the reason for wanting to get more water? Like, was it?
Absolutely, because the Poulafuca was arrived, and that nearly all our water was taken away.
You lost a lot of the King's River. Was it the King's River?
No, the King's River was on the far side.
Right.
We have we have the upper Liffey.
The upper Liffey. No, because I remember sometimes we do it on Luce's book, Fishing and Thinking. He talks about his best day on the King's River, and how the locals were saying they were getting ready for the flood because it was just prior to them flooding it. Yeah, and all the river was lost there. So it was the same with Kilbride Anglers. He lost all the top sections of that river.
Absolutely, yeah. And we still have rights on Poulafuca, the club. Right. Yeah,
and you still have obviously the river there,
yes,
Kilbride, and you still have the Blackwater in Meath.
Oh yes,
Wow, that's a fantastic stretch. Tell me this, actually, how much have been affected, and maybe especially around Kilbride, is by the increased urbanisation, increased development over years? Is it encroaching?
No, it is. As regards pollution from, we'd say, Kells and Virginia, the Blackwater is fed out of Loch Raymer. And it's a huge catchment area. And like, if there's a lot of rain, unlike any other river, it takes a while for our river to go down. If there's a lot of rain, other rivers, you wait 3-4 days, it's down. Jeepers, you could be waiting 2 weeks for ours to go down. The catchment is so wide, goes way off up into Cavan, and there's rivers, small streams, and from all over. Again, there's a problem, but our biggest problem was way back in the 80s. They decided to come along and drain the river because of floods. I think they were sorry they ever did it, but they did it anyway, and they had no regard whatsoever for fish or wildlife or anything. They just made a canal out of parts of it. Well, the best part of it. And like the devastation and the things that they did, like there was a local man there telling me the last year when I was down there, he said, "You see that spot," he says, "down there where you're fishing? A queen may have crossed the Blackwater there to go to the Talton Games, because the Talton Games took place on the banks of the river down there. And the site is still there. Telltown House is there." And he said they came along and they took the stepping stones out of the river. Like that was archaeological
terrorism. Yeah, vandalism.
It was different. But even speaking of that, Martin, like a vague memory of, say, the 1980s, where the Dublin civic offices are in the city. And remember, they found all the Viking settlement there, the original Dublin. And I remember the big I remember my parents I remember there was big protests in Dublin City because they just built on top of it. Now, I know they whatever, try to save part of it. Remember the massive protest about it because they just put
I do,
these
yeah.
concrete bunkers on top of it, which was the original Viking settlement of
That's
Dublin.
right, yeah.
So it was not enlightened times, shall we say?
They
No,
wouldn't get what was done to the river there and in other rivers around the country, Martin. They wouldn't get away with it now, would they?
not at all, not at all.
Mm.
Oh no, oh
No.
no. And what they did was they took the stone, the spawn and gravel, they took everything out of it, and they deepened the river by 4 feet. Okay, we're still back down into rock in places, but they just left it like a canal. And the farmers down there weren't very pleased the way they left the area after the work, and which meant then when we came along in the 90s to do a bit of work on the river, approaching the farmers, and when they, telling them you were going to be putting diggers in and stuff like that. So it took a bit of cajoling and face-to-face stuff. So, but we got it done. Yeah.
Martin, tell us about, because when was Kilbride Anglers? When was it founded? And because you seem to be a very
Founded
proactive
1940.
club.
1940. Yeah.
Wow.
Can you tell something about the early members, who they were?
Yeah. Yeah, there was lots of cheapers. They're all dead now, mostly dead now. Paddy Caniff was one of my best friends, and Paddy was, well, he wasn't one of the founder members, but there was, the Boyd Fawcett's, and there was all sorts of people with double barrel names at the time. Well, they were the only people that could afford to go to these places to fish at that time. You're talking back early 50s. Cheapers. What have we got? Bicycles. And we're lucky. And these people had cars and stuff like that were able to do that. And that's
were they locals?
It's gone downhill since then.
No, Martin, fight your corner. Come on.
Were they all locals, Martin, or?
They were mostly Dublin people. Right, and the locals were most welcome to join. Always welcome to join.
Right, interesting. So it was basically
there was a good salmon run on the river as well.
Right.
And I suppose it was within commuting distance or whatever you want to call it of Dublin. So they didn't have to be going out to Connemara or whatever for weeks on end. They could just go out on a day trip or whatever.
And it's a lovely route, and to this day it still has mayfly. It's
wow.
So what made you join it? What made you want to get involved?
Well, I started my fishing. My mother is from County Limerick, up in way off up between, we'd say, Newport and Maru, way off up in the 13 miles from Limerick, up in the hills, the Sleephelam Hills. And there was a river up there. It will be called the Clare Glens. It was a tributary of the Mulcair. And that's where I learned how to fish with a worm and a bamboo rod that we got out of Glenstall Abbey and cured it and put nails into it and all sorts of bits of string. And at that time you bought a foot of gut with a hook whipped onto the end of it, and you got your worm and you went down fishing when there was a flood. And my best fish, I believe, was 3 1/4 on a worm.
Oh wow!
Unbelievable.
And so that did you develop much then? Started getting into it more than obviously with Kilbride, and
I started doing work for Kilbride. Started making styles and stuff like that because that was I was able to do things like that, and made styles and bridges, and we got mixed up then with the development funds, and it was great. We were getting grants for doing things, and we ended up doing 42 styles, steel styles along the river and bridges. But you see, we were getting a grant for doing it. And we weren't charging the club anything, but we were getting the grants. And when we had a big pollution, we were still getting these grants, and we were using the money to buy boats. Okay, we were doing the work on the river, but it was great. That was good, but the money that we were getting, we were saved it up, and we were buying boats because the river was polluted and we couldn't use it for a couple of years.
Right.
And that's when we really started getting the fleet going. And the great story, I remember one year, we went into the AGM, and I was looking after the boats, and I was after buying 2 boats and cleaning the kitty out totally. We're after getting the grant, and we had a few bob, and just we cleaned it. I got a deal off John Paddy for 2 boats, and we never bought 2 boats before ever. And of course, there was nothing left in the kitty, just cleaned out. And I remember the night before the AGM, I was with Des Johnson, God rest him, and Noel Thompson, and we were doing the books. And look, lads, we won't have to put this in the black. We bought a badge apiece to make the club badge, and we had £6 or something, and just to make it in the black. And
the £6 brought it into the black.
It did. And our chairman, Bertie Collins, Lord of Wrestling, Dr. Bertie Collins, and Bertie says, "Oh, we're going in here. We're going to be slaughtered. We've no money in there. We've no money at all." And Noel Tom, the boys were after reading that we were after buying 2 boats and stuff like this, of course. And Noel Thompson goes up. He was our Minister of Finance at the time. And Noel stands up and he says, "Now, as you can see, we have the princely sum of £6 in the bank, and it's all his fault." And he pointed down to me. And everybody just cracked up laughing. And like the way we run the club, we don't have much money, much cash in hand. Like at the moment, we buy a brand new boat every year, and we replace the boats. That's just to keep them going. And I think
to keep them in good order.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Where are the boats for?
3 on Sheelan, 2 on Loughlin, 3 on Enel. Sorry, 3 on Owl, 1 on Enel, 2 on Ree, Con, Corra, Mask.
Any club member has use of those boats.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Really to join the club, it's €50, and the use of the boats for the year is £30. So for £80, you can have a boat on any of the lakes, any time of the year. You're covered.
The stretch is far for you, like.
Yeah.
My God, that's
incredible. And we don't have any problem getting members.
No.
Yeah, I was going to say, many members, and what was the peak of it like?
Around about 300.
And is that generally kind of in the hinterland of Dublin?
We should all over the country.
All over, yeah. Just, I suppose, if you want to use a boat on one of those, you can join.
Absolutely. Look, £80. Sure, that's the hire of a boat for 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you have such a choice.
And actually, I have to say as well, I really admire what you do with upgrading the boats, because that's crucial. Because boats do deteriorate, and you don't want you want to be going out in something safe and solid.
Yeah, and we're going on to Foley boats. We've 5 new Foley boats now.
Oh, great, excellent. Yeah. Gareth up in Kinloch there, brilliant.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're good, tough, big boats. They're not as
good, strong boats.
Much finesse about them, but they're strong.
Good, strong boats. Yeah, they are. They drift well. Or fished in them. They do actually. Yeah.
And so, how many boats altogether do you have in the club, Martin?
14.
My God.
Well, one of them was a former member of the club, and it was stipulated that his boat would be left on Loch Mask, so we look after it. We get it painted, and we look after it.
Do you find a lot of work, like in terms of trying to keep an eye on everything between the boats and all the locations? And
yes,
yeah.
We do.
He says, smiling.
Yeah.
But you obviously have a good, strong team of volunteers there in the club that are.
We do. In fairness, we do. But it's again, this year it was just unbelievable. The crowd. If we put our boats in an equestrian centre down in Mullingar for the winter, and all the Midland boats go down there, and we get a work party. Sure, look at the last time we had 15 guys out painting boats. Sure, it was a boat apiece. They were done in no time,
and a bit of crack too.
Oh, the crack was mighty, short paper. You know yourself, yes.
You'd hear some stories that day.
Sure, look, it was more fishing done than painting, I can tell you.
Tell me this, because obviously we talk about saying with fly fishing and clubs and members that it's, kind of finding it hard, in terms of especially looking to the future, declining numbers. Do you guys, have you?
No, we're grown. We're grown. We done fly time now this year. And I think it was around about, the average was 15 a night. Right. And we up to 19. I think the best was 19 one night. But it's it, and the crack again in the winter. Brilliant.
What do you put this, like, say for other clubs that are listening, maybe, what do you put the success of your club down to?
Well, the success of our club, when we lost the river, when we got the big pollution way back in the 90s, we know where to have our trout cup. So I suggested, right, let's buy boats. We And we had money at the time. We bought second-hand boats and all sorts of boats that we could get our hands on, so we could have competitions on the lakes. Up to then, we had just two boats, and there were only 17-foot boats and Pulafuka. And believe it or not, we have since taken the boats off Pulafuka for the simple reason, the vandalism. If you leave your car up there and stuff like that, and there was fellas coming in, the cars broken into and stuff like that. So, no. And then we were leaving them up in the hotel, and they wanted £1,000 for leaving the boat there and stuff like that. So, no. And there was only a handful of people using it, and it wasn't worth our while. So that's why we just took the boats off. The boys that go up there now, they just fish close to their cars and stuff like that. It's awful. It's unfortunate.
Very sad. That's very sad to hear.
It's where we live at the moment. Yeah.
But did you put it down the success of the club because of all the waters you have? Is it that's
yes.
what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That people have such a choice of
like,
waters.
Like if somebody uses the boat that goes out twice a year, he's covered.
Yeah.
And you have a choice. Will I go to Enel? Will I go to Oul? Will I go to Loughlin? Will I go to Cheelan? Or go to Reed?
And actually, how do you work the booking system on it? Like, let's say you've one boat on Enel, and I want to go out on Enel on, let's say, the 10th of May this year. So
yes,
how do you do it?
You book first come, first serve. Now you
Right.
have the boat for 2 days, right?
Yeah.
2 days. If nobody wants it the third day, you can have it. If nobody wants it the fourth day, you can have it.
Right.
That's the way it's done. But in order to give everybody a chance, you can book a boat for 2 days.
Great system. Really good system. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us, Martin, you mentioned the pollution incidents, and it was obviously a major catastrophe, but you came back stronger. Give us the background to what happened.
Well, there was a fire in the factory in Mulla, Wellmans, and the fire brigade went in.
Sorry, Martin, where's that now?
Mulla. It's in Cavan.
Right.
And the problem was, it's on the borders of Cavan and Meath. And there's a little river called the Barora. Well, the Manalta, there's two names, the Manalti and the Barora. But anyway, the factory is right beside the stream. Lovely spawning stream for salmon and trout. And the fire happened, and the fire brigade went in, and whatever the fire brigade are using to put the fire out mixed with what was on fire. There's sort of a recycling place. And it went into the river and just wiped out everything. And it came down and it wiped out our river. And we got a conviction, and the conviction was, they were fined, I don't know whether it was £300 or £500, but it was a conviction that they were the cause of the pollution. And then was a question, we would try to get it on the statute books for loss of amenity. Like, our river was dead. Absolutely dead.
And this is the Blackwater, was it?
Blackwater from the confluence of the Manalti going into our river. From there down was just, believe it or not, there's a waterworks further on down. They take the water from the Blackwater for Navan. No, I don't know whether they stopped. They kept taking the water or not. I don't know. But anyway,
that's interesting. Just what you mentioned there. So prior to this happening, loss of amenity, as you said, wasn't on the statute books, or wasn't something that you could claim against.
No, and IFI asked. We took the case with IFI, and they we great guys in the club. We'd a guy there, and he was very high up in insurance. God rest him, he's dead too now, Dave O'Connor, and we had law guys there as well. And anyway, the solicitors we had weren't doing a great job, in my estimation. But this went on for 10 years. We were looking for this loss of amenity, and eventually we sacked the solicitors, and we got a new guy in, a fellow by the name, I think it was Eddie Walsh, and he's the guy that owns Lissadell now.
Oh yes, I remember they bought that.
Yeah.
And he's an ideal guy for, we'd say, the likes of anything environmental work, and he took it on. He finished. It was sorted out in a day. I think the money we got was around about, when we didn't get it, but we were ordered, I think it was 130,000 or something like that. And IFI got the lion's share of it. and we got 30,000.
Did it
Great.
go to court, Martin, or was it settled out of court?
Settled. We couldn't get it. If it would have kept it, Eddie told us, look, you won't get it, lads. And, I'll do the best I can for you. And look, they were happy. It was just going on and on and on. And everybody was round off. Look, let's get money and we do work with this money. And I was made chairman then. Poor Martin O'Rourke died. And chairman, I'm going to think back. Yeah. And there was fellas saying, "What? Oh, will we restock the river?" And I'm over my dead body. I wouldn't allow it happen.
Yeah, you were saying that to me. You took a firm stance on that you weren't going to just restock it. Yeah,
because it brings the wrong type of angler, And in my estimation, anyway. But anyway, we were lucky enough insofar as the river above where the pollution happened. The fish all back down and restocked the river. Absolutely brilliant. About 3 years it took. And we were up and running again. But in the meantime, we'd done a lot of, we'd bought boats and we transformed the club from a river club to a boat club and stuff like that. And then we started doing work on the river. And the first bit of work we did was on the Martry River. We got in touch with Kieran O'Kelly. I don't know what you've heard of Kieran. Kieran's a great guy. Kieran was, I asked Kieran, look, will we do some work on the, yeah, he says, yeah. We got, I can't think of her name. What was her name now? It was a lovely girl at the time. Justine Kavanagh, I think her name was. And she came and she looked at the Martry and it was all calcified. And said, this is a feeder stream. And we got a digger in and we did 150 yards. And we had to get permission from farmers, and I went around knocking on doors of farmers. Oh yeah, go ahead, keep going ahead. So we ended up doing, I think it was 1.5 miles or something with the river. Absolutely brilliant. We just kept going. And then IFI said, Martin O'Grady, we got to meeting Martin. Martin was a good friend of Paddy's as well. Paddy used to be on the board, Paddy Kniff. And we got Martin on board, and Martin said, why don't you lads now go and we try and do a bit of work on the main river? And otherwise make salmon pools. And we could get money through the Salmon Conservation Fund. Now it's going to cost you guys money as well. So look, I said, we've 30,000, let's spend it. So we started off, and every year for about 5 years, we were getting grants of 15,000 a year.
Brilliant.
But the amount of work at the end, at the beginning it was grand because we had Martin there. He was great. They were looking for ISs and impact studies.
Yeah.
Martin, like we weren't going to turn the lake around and send it back up to cabin. Like, you know what I mean? We were just, and Martin was great. He just a page. And we'd also got Paddy Kniff. And Paddy was a chartered surveyor. And Paddy was we had to get 4 prices for stone, 4 prices for diggers.
And submit tenders as such, yeah?
In tenders, all tenders from the whole lot of them. Insurance, you had to get the farmers okay to do it, and you had to indemnify him. You had to indemnify IFI. Jesus, like it got at the very end, it got that you had to get planning permission. And as soon as they hit the planning permission, I just said to myself, well, we ran out of money anyway at that stage.
Probably happy to have a good time.
The 30,000, we turned it into around about 100,000 in work.
Right.
Yeah. And then for the finish, we'd spun ourselves out with money. But there was something came in from Europe that the OPW, any works that they did on rivers, they had to put them back right again. And there was EEC money available. And at that stage, Martin O'Grady was gone and Karen Delante took over. And Karen, absolutely brilliant. She came highly recommended from Martin, God rest him. And she took over and they came in and they did a mile of our river with salmon pools and riffles and pools and talwags and all gibbers. Fantastic job. With Kieran O'Kelly as well.
Right. And come here, just there, Martin, that was funded from the refurbishment through the EU for work that had been done.
Yes.
Yeah. So you didn't have to contribute to that then.
No, we didn't.
That was great.
And we didn't have to do anything about insurance, anything about stone.
Oh, brilliant.
No.
So you didn't have the bureaucracy that you were getting near the end of the monies you had. Yeah. Oh, that
And
was
we were guys
fantastic.
like doing a day's work at home, and then you come back and you get this letter. Now you have to comply with this, you have to comply with that.
Yeah.
Oh, jeepers. It was shocking. But before that, I was just looking here, whether you can see it. There's Martin O'Grady's book, Channels and Challenges. And it's all about how to rehabilitate rivers and stuff like that. Be absolutely terrific. It can be got from IFI, Central Fishery Board. And for any clubs that wanted to do work on the river, what to do and how to do it properly. And it's all in Martin's book from IFI.
I actually haven't seen that. No, I had the pleasure meeting Martin and work with him a couple of times. He was an absolute gentleman. Absolute gentleman. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was great. So with that refurbishment scheme, you got the work nearly finished then, did you?
We did. Oh God, yeah. We did. Yeah. We did. And
come here, how long ago was that now, Martin? When was that? So that was after Martin retired. So that's what
it was, yeah.
15,
no, Martin
12.
was retired. Martin wasn't very long retired before he died, God rest him.
Yeah, God rest him.
We had him for the last couple of years of IFI. And he was able to do up the drawings and whatever. It was absolutely terrific. He was a pure gent and a great man to talk to and work with. But he was instructing Kieran O'Kelly. I think Kieran O'Kelly got a master class from him, and that's how Kieran became so good. I can tell you, it was brilliant. With great fun. But no, I think the last time we finished, I had prostate cancer back in 2011, and when I used to go to St. Luke's for radiation treatment in the morning, and then I'd head back over down the river afterwards.
Good man yourself.
It got me through it got me through, this work was going on, and Jesus, it was great. And you weren't thinking about yourself or anything. But we put more boulders over. No, James, you're doing a grand job there. We were following all Martin's instructions. It was absolutely brilliant. It was lovely. I tell you one incident. The first pool that we put in, Kieran O'Kelly will tell you this. The second day he came up, he was passing by the pool and he saw a salmon in the pool.
A day after.
He went back to the car and he got the rod and he rose the fish. He'll tell you that.
In the interest of science, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
And how is the river now, Martin?
Absolutely brilliant. We had a trout competition on it there last year, and we fished it over three nights, and we couldn't get a keeper. We have an 11-inch limit on it, and everybody were getting fish at 10 and a half, and for a finish, one of the lads came in with a fish of £2 and won the thing. But I wouldn't mind if you're catching 10 or 15 fish on dries. It was absolutely lovely. Absolutely, it's cracking. That's lovely. To me, that's fantastic.
Stuff full of 10 and a half inch fish.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And it's just lovely, and to see them rising, and there's a blue winged olive on it, and there's sedges on it, and it's just lovely. It's just lovely.
And how does it compare to pre-accident?
Well, again, not so much pre-accident, pre-drainage. Pre-drainage. Like after we did the work on it, all the guys are absolutely delighted. But the only trouble is the access. When they dug down, we have high bloody banks.
Isn't this the thing, Martin? It's what was done at the time, and I see it here because I've fished a couple of rivers around here. They're done. Yeah. They just left the spoil heaps by the bank.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and that's why the farmers down there, when I had to go to them and go down to the cow sheds and meet them, ramble down to where they were. It wasn't a question of meeting them in the house
or dropping them an email.
No, Jesus, no, or a phone call. You know what you'll be told, but just go down, meet them face to face, offer them a bit of a hard stand inside their gates, or with dry filling, so they could put their bales of silage or whatever. And cheapers, they'd be delighted. Yeah, go ahead. But you only went into the land when they were finished putting the crops and stuff like that. And you didn't go in with in. That's one thing when we were doing the river as well. You can only work between, we'd say, June and the end of September, and that's and if you could have diggers and everything lined up, stone and all, everything lined up, and then you get a flood, and your snooker then for a couple of days.
Yeah, yeah.
But like it's, and then the guys want to take the digger away and then bring it back, and just again they've come back. There's another flood. Like there's all sorts of things.
Martin, would you say the consequences of that case that you took? I know it obviously killed off the river for those few years that you were fighting the case and everything, but that it was kind of the making of you in the sense of, you know, in terms of what you're able to rehabilitate. It actually forced you then to get the boats in other areas.
It did, yeah. Yeah.
Like what I get from chatting to you, Martin, is it's amazing the resilience and kind of innovation of the club and its members.
At that time, we had no boats or nothing, and I said, right, we'll go over to Loch Mask. And I think the first time I brought 28 fellas over to Loch Mask for the weekend, and we stayed in Sheridan's, and there was houses there. We scattered there at Cushlock,
yeah.
And we're still going there. We still get the boats off them, but we when we're going down there, we still go. We go twice a year, and there's around. But we stay in Mary Luke's now. But we get
on the other side. Go to the other side of the lake.
Yeah, but we get the boats from Cushlock out from Cushlock, and it's the share, and that's where we have our boat there in Cushlock. But that's where we hire the boats when we're still going over. We go twice a year trip.
And the other thing, I suppose, the outcome of that case as well was this the first? This was a precedent whereby the loss of immunity then.
Yeah, but we didn't get it. Unfortunately, we didn't.
We didn't get that.
It's not on the books. No, it's not on the books.
Ah,
interesting. No.
So
it was settled out of court.
So the state still, there's nothing on the statute books for that yet.
No.
Wow. What's your take, Martin? Just obviously you see a lot of kind of water pollution incidents still going on, and you know it's a lot of slap on the wrists, isn't it, in terms of the fines? And
of course it is, yeah.
It's but I think it needs more people like yourselves the way just willing to fight it. You know, like.
Well, that's it. We in fairness, it was IFI took it on at the time. I think the man in charge at the time was Alan McGordy, and he was working with Des Johnson. Now I had nothing got to do with the case. The people that were running that was Des Johnson and Bertie Collins at the time, and Bertie was the chairman and Des was the secretary of the club. They were doing that, but when it came to doing the work, Des says, that's your job. Des was absolutely brilliant, and Bertie, they were really good.
You have to be resilient and just keep at it, don't you? And persistent and
it was like this went on for years, and you know you go to meetings and Jesus, this is still going on, lads. What can we do? And then eventually we said, look, we went to Adam O'Gordy, and Alan said, yeah, okay, look, let's finish it or wrap it up. And that's when we went and we got this Eddie Walsh involved.
Right.
Fair play to you.
And it was sorted in a day.
And it worked well. God, no, it's absolutely fantastic to hear that. And like one of the reasons we want to talk to you, it's great because like we have covered incidents here before, and it's nice to hear of one that successfully you took an action against and got something back from it and used it to great avail for the club. So, Lear, listen, we keep talking about that, Martin, and it's really great to hear about the club. But listen, going to let you go. But before we let you go, Martin, and I told you already, we ask everybody who comes onto the show, ask them one question at the end, and going to ask you, what is your most memorable fish on the fly?
An 8-pound trout on Loch Ree.
Loch Ree, no.
Yeah, red arse Peter. And
on the wets?
On the wets on the 1st of September.
Oh, good man. That's that. And come here, did he just take you up out of the blue?
Absolutely.
The good Irish saying, you got some land when you hit him.
By God, did I what? The fella in the boat with me, Joe Keenan. Joe, you know.
Yeah.
And we just went absolute. It was lovely. And it was on the way in. There was a little bay, and Joe said, "We saw a great fish going in here the other day." Evo and myself, Evo Smith, you know, the fly car.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh well, let's go in and we do it. And of course, I went in and bang into this fish, and it was the size of it, you know, jeepers, it was a cracker. And got him on the wets. That was it. Oh, and Evo was giving out blazes because I caught his fish. You know, he was laugh. We great crack. Great. So that was the biggest And there was some fight. It was great. It was great.
Was it? Yeah. You're an
Yeah.
awful man to take Evo's fish, though. But anyway, we won't go into that.
Yeah.
Well, Martin, fair play to you. It sounds like you've had a long, fruitful life involved in fly fishing, and in terms of kind of what you've done at the Kilbride and everybody else involved in the Kilbride Anglers.
Oh, there's lots of fellas doing great stuff
Yeah.
in Kilbride. Not
Yeah.
only me.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like I think it's a great example for others as well around the country to kind of, that the fact that you're still growing, and kind of any kind of obstacles that's come in your way, you've been able to overcome them and make things better.
There's one thing we have: kids joining our club don't pay any money. It's free.
Excellent.
And even we hired fisheries. So kids, like if I was to brought a kid out to Loch Shield, or even tomorrow, it'll turn them off fishing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we say that as well here. Yeah.
We hire fisheries for a day. We do it twice a year, and we ask kids around. Even kids from disadvantaged areas, we arrange for them to come down, and we pay for everything, and we give them a barbecue and the whole lot. And to see kids catching their first fish and maybe their second, and they're over the moon. And just to introduce people and kids to fishing, and we can do it, and it takes a bit to do it, and the fellas are great. Now we get a little bit of sponsorship from NARA and IFI, but it doesn't cover the whole lot. But this is the only way we can to get kids back fishing.
Money well spent. Money well spent.
Absolutely, yeah.
And a great example for others. Martin, tight lines for the season. Will you be getting out soon, or?
We're putting the boats out on Saturday. There's some hardy bucks going out all right on Saturday, but not me. I'm still on my crutches, so I'll be at Paddy's Day, I'd say.
Paddy's Day. Oh, not too bad. Not too far away.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. Well, Martin, thanks again for joining us.
Good luck, lads.
Our thanks to Martin for joining us on the show. And don't forget to rate, review, and follow the Ireland on the Fly podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Plus, you can keep up to date on IrelandOnTheFly.com as well as on Instagram. And myself and Tom will be back with another episode about the people and places of fly fishing in Ireland.